you know what? I can go for this funded account and I can get another funded account and join them together and branch this one together, and I could have all these other accounts and have $1 million in funded account. And if I blow one, I got 16 more over here. That's the wrong mentality. That's the wrong mentality. And honestly, you should only do it long enough to get your own money and then get the fuck out of that shit. Because I don't think it's going to be around long. That's my personal opinion. I might be wrong, but I know I'm going to be putting the hurting on those motherfuckers because what I've taught, it works. And people are coming in with proof that this shit works. And I've already heard one company talk about how they're going to lessen the amount of people coming in next year. I'm not putting names on it, but I'm sure if you do some research, you'll find out who I'm talking about. Why would you think that's occurring? Because they see a wave of motherfuckers coming in that can whip their ass. See, they like to make money on the failures. That's a business for them. A lot of people coming in not knowing how to do it, and they have to re-up it and go in. And like, hey, that's a pretty shrewd business model. I mean, if all the stats are, to be believed, it's 90 days or less, you're going to blow your account. Isn't it interesting that companies like that, the company name escapes me. It begins with A. It's not AMP. Apex. You can only take out 3,000 for the first month, 3,000 the second month, and I don't know what the third month is. They keep you throttled because they want to make sure that you are held inside those 90 days, because the bell curve of statistical evidence suggests that if they hold you underneath that 90 days, you're going to blow your ass out and they won't have to pay you shit. It's a casino, folks. All of this shit is rigged. So now think about that. Not only do you have to beat the casino, the house, the market, you have to beat yourself, because you're going to be throwing wrenches into this whole process with your toxic thinking, ass backwards mentality, trying to prove yourself to the world, your spouse and your friends and neighbors like that fucking means anything. And now you're going to go through a funded account process. And trust me, folks, I'm not trying to discourage you, but I'm talking really real with you. If you were my fucking best friend and you came to me and said, look, ICT, no, look, Michael, we've been friends for a long time. We went to school together. I've watched what you've been doing. Okay. I pissed around, and I'm finally at the point where I want to do what you do. How do I go about doing it? I would talk to you just like this. I talk just like this when it's things like this. I'm passionate. I'm not going to pull any punches. I don't care if you like the way I said it. I don't care if you agree, because I live this shit. But if you think for a moment that you're just going to waltz in here and do these funded account challenges and something different's going to take place, like that somehow changes the landscape for you, you're underneath another umbrella of probabilities of failure. And you need to be aware of that. Now, that's not meant to discourage you, not to make you feel like, oh shit, he just took the wind out of my sails. No, what I'm reminding you of is the rules I gave you, use them. Don't try to make a lot of money. If they say you can only make $3,000, okay. How about just try to go and make $1,500? Stay way under the radar. Don't be in a rush to get the money out. And then the second month, do the same thing. Oh, you can only get 3,000. Well, let me make sure I get my $3,000. No. Beat the whole process by not pushing. That's how you do it. I think it's $10,000. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong in the Twitter, but I think if I'm not mistaken, the third month is they only let you take $10,000. So what that means is, at best scenario, you could in 3 months take out, what's that, $16,000? What happens if you run it up bigger? You can't touch it? Apparently that's what it is. That's my understanding. And I don't have any experience doing it, but why push harder than you need to? Just Make $1,000 to $1,500. And then once you make it, stop. Let them know you're there to fucking get paid, and you're not in a hurry to get the money. That's how you beat the process. That's how you beat the game. That's how you beat them. Don't think I got to push it to the maximum, because you will blow out. And that's what all you young people are out here doing. You're pushing it because that's the threshold they give you. That's the high end. So that's what you're going to aim for, right? Why? Why are you doing that? All you're doing is it's increasing the likelihood that you're going to blow the account. You're going to do something to blow it out. So that's my word on funded accounts. You guys ask me all the time, what's my thought process on it? That's exactly my thought process on it. Don't try to do the maximum that they allow. That's how you're going to fail. That's what every person does when they go to casino. Think about it. They don't go in there thinking, well, let me make sure I manage my money well. They're going in there getting fucking lit, maybe on drugs, but they're drunk. They're drinking constantly while they're there. Do you think sound, rational thinking and risk management is on the forefront of their drunken stupor? No. But when you get these funded accounts, you're drunk. See, I'm not trying to diminish your achievement once you get to that point, because it takes effort to get there. You still have to do something to get there. Now, they might not be the right things that got you there, admittedly, but once you get there, yeah, that's commendable. And I like to encourage that. But once you're there, don't fall victim to the idea that, you might just get lucky. The stars will align, and that spin of the casino one-armed bandit sends you those 3 sevens and you get a jackpot. Because we're back to that same square one earlier in the conversation. You just want to have that positive experience, and you're willing to risk everything that you paid and put into it to have that one feel-good moment. Because if you can have that one feel-good moment, then it's real. It's not a dream. It's not an imagination on your part. It's something that you really did, and you really took money out, and you really spent it, and you really achieved something. You really rose to the occasion, and you made all your fucking friends and your family look like assholes because you could throw it in their fucking face and say, you piece of shit, you tried to hold me back, you talked down to me, you said I was never going to do it, fuck you, and shove it up their ass. That's what you're thinking. That's what you're thinking. That's exactly, and you're nodding your fucking head right now, the ones that know that's what you're thinking. You know that's what you want to do. You want to be able to stick it to them and say an emotional and psychological attachment to what you're trying to do. It's going to be the very reason why you fail. Because you're putting an all or nothing idea behind it. It's the be all end all. It's the only way it can happen. It has to happen this way and only this way, because you can't imagine it doing it any other way, because you don't have the experience of seeing what you've learned that is consistently delivered. You just want it to happen that one good time, that one good stretch of 4 weeks or so you can get that first withdrawal. Then it's real. Because it could be a scam until that happens, right? This game is difficult, folks, because it's all happening between your ears. In your mind, you think that chart's going to run against you. Well, it's probably not. Or you think it's going to run in your favor. Well, it's probably not. You think it's not going to go anywhere today. It's going to be a consolidation day, and then it tears off. Big range day. All these things create what if. Not what if. What if doesn't make you money. What you do makes or loses money. What's already happened, you can't make money on that. And you can't lose money on that. So don't let that shit make you have a decision that puts you into risk. Because if you're chasing market moves and you go into these funded account challenges or get to the point where you have the funded account access, do not go into that impulsive mindset. It's got to be boring. Low threshold. Aim for $1,000 for the first month. You think that's some figure I just pulled out of my ass for that N series? You use that. Like I said, use it for your model. When you get funded, go just try to get that $1,000. Oh, but they'll let me get 3,000. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a shit? The market laid $25,000 in front of me and said, hey, you want more? I could have done more trades. Who said I couldn't have done more trades? Me. Self-discipline. There's not enough of that talked and taught because there's not enough profitable fucking people in the world that's trying to teach. That's why. You have to have discipline. You have to have rules that say, okay, I'm engaging. And guess what else you have to have? Rules where it tells you you're disengaging. You're not going to do something anymore. And that's not weakness. That's not backpedaling. That's not retreating. That is, we beat your ass. And we're going home to celebrate. And we're going to come back again tomorrow and take some more. That's war. It's not retreat. You're just taking the troops home. Some rest, food, get your mind in the right place again to go right back out there and battle it again. You're dictating the pace of this war. But some of you are defeating yourself before you even get out there. And you think that these funded accounts are going to be your secret fucking weapon. Like that's the silver bullet. That's the thing, man. That is the thing. This is the thing that got me over that hump. And you lose track of everything that you've been trained to do. And you do something stupid. And you lose all self-control. You make a simple little mistake and you want to try to fix it real quick. Oh, I keep going like this. Take the loss, stop, and come back the next day. They have thresholds on there you have to meet, and some of them are pretty difficult for a new trader. So if you lessen what it is you're trying to make and try to just aim for $250 a week, make that $1,000 and then stop. Get beyond that first 3 months. And then all those limitations, my understanding, and I may be incorrect because I don't have a whole lot of insight about them, but what little knowledge I do know I have, is that they don't let you have the access to what you could potentially earn. So don't push too hard. Don't make it an Olympic feat. It's not an Olympic challenge. It's not an Olympic event for you to try to get the $3,000 the first month, the $3,000 the second month, and the $10,000 on the third month, and then wait to be able to take it all out. Don't do that. What prevents you from just aiming for the $1,000 and just taking that out and being thankful that, hey, you know what? I got $1,000 and I didn't have to work hard for that. How hard do you have to work to get that $1,000 right now without trading? What do you have to sell? Your ass, something in your house, all your possessions. You got to get a second or third job to make that $1,000 extra a month. Contrast that with doing such a small task, $250 a week. And don't let anybody tell you, oh, it's not even worth doing. Oh, it's worth doing. You're trying to tell me if you walked out your house and you found an envelope on your front step every fucking morning with $50 Monday through Friday, at the end of the week, you got $250 and you come out there the next week, it's the same show, and this went on for 4 weeks, and all of a sudden, that $1,000 that you now have, you're saying that if it didn't happen the next month, you wouldn't miss it? Bullshit. Bullshit. You got to make your results low hanging, easy to get, You're not stressing yourself out to get it. And it's so fucking easy to get. And when you get it consistently over and over and over again, that gives you experience. It gives you experience with managing expectations, your personal responsibility as an individual trader, not to try to do more than that's necessary. And saying no when your impulsive side says, just go on one more time. Come on, come on. It was so easy. We got it so fast. Look at all the time we got. Just go on one more time. That's the enemy. That's the enemy. You won't feel like it's the enemy. It's going to feel like that's the you in trading that has developed. Now you know, you're dialed in. You got ICT vision. And then when you get in there, you lose what you made and more. And now that hurts. And you try to fix it right away. And you got to say, no, small loss, I'll come back tomorrow. That's how you do it. There's nothing wrong with going to go to work and then fell ill before you got there. Or maybe you got there and you had leave to come home. You couldn't fulfill your obligations as an employee. And unless you're paid salary, you lost those hours of wage. Did you lose your job because of that? No. Did you make less money that week? Yep. Did your whole household come unglued because of that? No. It's an event that transpired that had a negative impact on you monetarily, and you had to endure it. It didn't change anything to the point where you're now homeless, or you're, oh, I got to get a second job now because I had to go home that day. That's what you're doing when you take a trade and it was a losing trade and you refuse to take that loss and go home. You're trying to, I need another job. I need another job. That's a trade. I need to take another job and assume more risk because this one didn't pay me like I wanted it to. Now, how are you going to feel if the last job that you were at that just fired you and said you sucked as an employee, you didn't do your job right, and you go in and you start at another company, you got a chip on your shoulder, and a new boss says, hey, look, we don't do things around here like that. In your mind, the first thing that's going to come to mind is, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Dude, I don't need to work this job. I can get another job. I found this job when I wasn't even looking for it. That kind of shit. That's the kind of stuff I said when I was a young man. I had lots of jobs. I'd walk out of jobs, quit, and fucking tell them to go kiss my ass because I didn't want to be employed. I didn't want that. But that chip on your shoulder is the same thing you will have if you have a losing trade. You now are going into another job, and you're going to create that job. You're going to find a job. The job is the next trade. But you're not prepared to go to work for another company because you're salty because you just got fired in your last trade. Fired you. You're no longer employed. You're not gainfully employed in the marketplace because that trade fired your ass. You got a chip on your shoulder. You need to tell somebody off. Well, they fired you. They ain't giving you a time or stage to be heard. So what are you going to do? You're going to go and press the button again. Now you're employed again. But you have a chip on your shoulder and you want to get back what that last job took away from you. Your pride, your bruised ego. You need to prove something. You got to prove something to your spouse. I'm not worthless. I should have never got fired by that other company. That other trade should have never kicked me out. The broker did it to me. The market maker did it to me. The economic counter did it. All these other excuses outwardly. That's not you when it's just you. See, all these things are factors that you don't think about because you don't have the experience. And if you don't have them in the forefront of your mind and you even try to do these funded account challenges, that ticking clock, that makes you want to do things that you don't need to do. Slow down. Don't try to aim so high and give yourself a real chance. And what happens if you aim for the $1,000 and you only make $500? That's your money. Don't leave it in there. Take it out. If they give you the opportunity to take it out, take it out. That reward for your time and effort, that's going to mean a lot. And it'll be an encouragement for you to have it in your journal that I took a withdrawal, $500. Look at this. This is like, I really did that. And I have a lot of students where $500 is a lot of money. And I apologize. Sometimes you hear me talk about money and it may feel like I'm talking down to you. I'm not talking down to you, folks. I'm just reminding you that you're learning something that doesn't have a limit to what you can do with it. But on the same side of that coin, you have to be able to manage yourself responsibly, because on the other side of that coin, you have the likelihood of losing everything and more than you have. And that part is what makes me unpopular, because I remind you every discussion, every time we get together, that this is the really real side of it all. There's risk here, and you're going to lose money, guaranteed. You're going to lose money. But losing money is not losing your trading career. That's just a transaction or a series of transactions, just like losing hourly wages from being sick, car breaking down, flat tire. All that shit is an expense. But because you have made this Olympic event of trading, you've made no room, you've allocated absolutely no room for things to go wrong. Things are going to go wrong, folks. It's going to happen. You're not going to do something right, and it's going to result in a losing transaction. And if you don't know what you're doing and you rush back in there to try to fix it right away with ill-prepared experience and logic that's lacking, are you going to have blue ribbon results? No. You're probably going to have a compounded loss. And that feeds on the negative thinking that we talked about earlier. You're going to have more negative thinking and the negative thoughts that propel you into thinking, what? I can't go home and let my spouse see me with this loss. They're going to see me as soon as I come around the corner. They're going to know right away I've lost money, and they're going to ask me, and I don't want to lie to them. I don't want to have to say I lost money, because they're going to give me that look. I fucking knew you were going to lose money, or I told you this was going to end up losing money. We can't afford to lose money. Now, contrast that with if you're going to have your spouse involved in this or aware of what you're doing. You sit down and these are the things I'm going to do. If I lose money on this first trade or a trade and it's this much, I stop trading for that day. Now, contrast that and you exercise that responsibility and you have a losing trade and you leave your trading area, you walk and join back to your family, and your spouse sees you and you say, I had a losing trade today. Oh, okay. What happened? Well, this is what my rule said, and I had limited it to this. And once I got to that point, I stopped. Now, doesn't that disarm any reason for people to think, okay, you're reckless? Exactly. It's exactly what it does. You have to be able to present yourself to not only to yourself in the mirror every day and say, okay, I'm not reckless. I'm not going out here and doing things on a whim. I'm being responsible with my time. I'm being responsible with this money, and I'm sticking to the rules. And if I incur a loss, I'm following the rules that help me mitigate loss and risk. So that way I don't blow the account. That way I don't fill myself up with toxic thinking, and I don't stress my spouse out, because I'm telling you, whether you like it or not, if your spouse knows that you're trading, you have now made this a team effort, and it never is easy when it's like that. Never. Now, am I saying hide things from your spouse? I didn't say that. But the Bible does say, don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. So you can take that how you want to interpret it. I just look at it this way. If I would have done that and said nothing about what I was doing, admittedly, I probably wouldn't have my oldest son, Cody, because the lady I got involved with would have never been in a position to want to be with me for the reasons that she wanted to be with me. And I'll just say that. Okay. I wouldn't have got into trouble with my personal life with a particular woman had I kept my mouth shut and not let my friends know everything I made and what I was doing. Now, my present wife, obviously, in the beginning, she didn't know everything. And it wasn't until, years ago that she understood more about who I am, what I'm able to do, and even what we have. If I can go back in time, and do things differently, I wouldn't have said anything. And now I'll let you judge me on that. I don't give a fuck. Okay. But I would have liked to never really been open or candid about any of it. And that's how I teach my kids. I tell them all the time. And my wife does not agree with this mindset. And I know I've said this many times in this conversation, and we're going to close it, but I'm going to say this, and I'm not actually going to close it because I know she's going to be disappointed when I go in the house. And you told me it was going to be this long, and now you've been out here for 2 hours. But I tell my children that you don't owe anybody an explanation as to what you have or what you earn, period. Being married, okay? Now I'm going to say this. This is really going to really cause division. But again, this is my personal opinion, and I'm entitled to it. And you can be argumentative, and you can say, I don't agree with that. And that's fine. We can agree that we don't agree. That's fine. But I'm telling my sons and my daughter that what they earn, what they have in their bank accounts is nobody's fucking business. Especially in this world today where people are motivated. They will tell you and marry you and have children with you under the guise that they love you. They want to be with you. When they're willing to put their body through conception, childbirth, marriage, just to get in a situation where they can fleece you. And then you're devastated financially, emotionally, and now you have a broken household. All because one individual is motivated by money when you might be motivated to be profitable as an investor. You're not motivated to live a life that would potentially wreck someone else's family or your own family. So I tell all of my children, your money is nobody's fucking business, period. When you get married, should you decide to go that route, your spouse, it does not entitle them to know what you have. When you die, then they'll know. Leave it to them, and there it is, and surprise them with how much you got. But you don't tell anybody what you have, because then guess what? If they're with you, they want to be with you because they want to be with you, not because you have the ability to pay for things that the average person can't. And I know that there's going to be people that hear this and say, wow, I wouldn't have expected that from ICT. I mean, I thought he was this and that. I'm telling you from personal experience. And look around, folks. This world is so fucked up and corrupt. Do you honestly believe? Look at these young guys, okay? I'm looking at the clock. I got 3 minutes to get this done. Look at these young guys out there with their cars on Instagram, YouTube, and such. And they're flashing everything. I got this, I got that. Look at me, I got this chain, I got these watches, and I got these cars, and I traded this car and got this car, and I got that car, and I'm wearing these types of shoes and these clothes. Look at me, look at all the attention on me. Be honest, folks. What type of individual are they attracting? Do you think anybody's looking at that and saying, you know what, this is a really upstanding young man? He's well put together, well mannered. He's not a show off. And he's probably someone that's going to be very trustworthy when I'm not around. He's not trying to be influential to other people to get more attention, and he's not going to do anything that would draw more attention to himself. So I wouldn't have to worry about anything when I'm not around him. Do you think people are looking at these young guys like that? No. But there are girls out there thinking, man, all it takes is one good weekend, and I got my ass a meal ticket. Because, folks, whether you like this shit or not, or believe it, that's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me. And I didn't even see it coming. I got rolled. ICT got fucking rolled, okay? As to what happened, and I don't give a shit who believes it, okay? But in 1995, ICT got rolled. And my whole life changed because of that. And I tell my kids, and my oldest son, who was a result of that affair, I tell them all the time, you don't tell anybody what you have, what you earn. They're not entitled to know that. And if you're married, and your spouse is like, hey, can we afford it? You just tell them the bills are fine. You don't worry about that part. You don't pour it on thick. You don't say what you got and what you can earn. None of that shit. If you live your life like that, you'll have less drama. Don't call attention to things like that. Because you can afford Lamborghinis doesn't mean you should have a whole row of them out front of your house. What's that advertising? Well, if I was a con artist, okay, let me tell you what I would do. I would go down to Miami in Florida, and I would drive my car in front of one of these other cars that these YouTuber guys, these Instagrammers, and I would brake check them, let them rear end me, and I'd sue them. That's what a con artist would do. There you go. That's a con artist. That's a con artist mentality. Okay. They're broadcasting. They have something to take. Think about it. I have 2 Corvettes. Yeah. That I rarely ever drive. And some of you ask that. Can you see? I know why you're asking, because you think I flipped them. Because the guy down in Texas says I flipped Corvettes and white ones are the most popular ones and yada, yada, yada. It's the same fucking Corvettes that I'm not trading in. They're my babies and I'm not getting rid of them. But I don't go around doing those types of things because it draws special attention. I have cars that would look like anybody else's in the neighborhood I'm sleeping in right now. But I could afford a whole lot more. I don't do that anymore because I've seen the tide change. The way the world is right now, everybody's looking for a meal ticket. Everybody's looking for a lawsuit. Everyone's looking for some way to scam the next person. And you want to broadcast to the world, look at me. I have something to take. So I tell my children, don't do that. And I don't care what your opinion about that is. Because I guarantee you, nobody listening to me has as much money as I have. So you're not going to tell me any advice that I need to follow. So you young men and women that are aspiring to get wealthy and affluent with all this information you've been learning, think about that. Because what you're saying to yourself, you're only worth special attention and adoration if you do that. And you're doing it all wrong. You're doing it all wrong. Because you are putting a price tag on relationships with you based on what you can buy, obtain, floss, how you drip, all the things that you can, run around and represent as an image.